Hello and welcome to the Virtual Nature School. I'm delighted to be here with you today. I'm Claire. Today what we're doing in our inquiry all around shadows is now beginning to think about that storyline. Thinking about the beginning, the middle and the end. Thinking about how your puppets are going to be used to tell the story. Thinking about the scenery and how you're going to use objects like feathers or sticks to create landscape. So today, in our film, I'm going to push it even further to ask you to think a little bit around the idea of sound. Let's have a look at the film and find out what we're going to be fascinated by today.
Welcome to our inquiry all around shadows. We've been doing a lot of exploring again, looking at the idea of scenery, having a place where our stories are going to be taking place. Whether it's been creating a forest, a castle, whether it's been making cars, whether it's been thinking about rooms. It's been really interesting looking at all of your ideas. We've got this lovely example where we've used different house plants and leaves to create the atmosphere. This one is most definitely going to take place in a building. I can see a lamp and I can see a chair and a table. So I'm intrigued as to what this story is going to be about. One of the questions I was asked is, why is it that sometimes shadows are blurry and sometimes they're sharp? Well, it's all to do with the distance from the screen. So if you look at this, I'm sure you've worked out that it's a frog on a leaf. But where the frog's feet are touching the leaf, it's a very sharp outline. But where the frog's body is further away, it's all fuzzy. So you can make things go bigger and smaller according to where you put your puppet. Here's an example of some puppets that have been made, and we've got a little person with lots of detailed hands and fingers. We've got a duck, we've got an amazing caterpillar, we've got characters, and we've even got that dinosaur coming in at the end. So we've got so many different ideas. It's going to be a fabulous show. Now, when you start to think about stories have what you call a storyline. And that means something happens at the beginning of the story, something happens at the middle, and then something happens to end the story. So let's have a look at these puppets and see if we can work out what stories they're from. Can you work it out? This is the story of the three little pigs. Now, the beginning of our story is the three little pigs making their houses out of straw and out of sticks and out of bricks. And then the middle of our story is when the wolf comes and he knocks on their door. That's the middle. And then the end of the story goes either way. One is that the wolf runs away and the other one that he sadly dies. So you can decide the beginning, the middle and the end of your own puppet show, your own story. Any idea what this story could be? This is an old story about Aladdin. This is the genie and the lamp. And in the beginning of the story, they find an old lamp and then they rub it. And that's the middle of the story as the genie comes out and grants Aladdin some wishes. So stories can be about anything at all. When you go to the cinema and you see a film, you have what you call a soundtrack. And that means that there are sounds that you hear that help you feel that the story is coming alive. Some people use different languages in their stories. So if you've got different words that you know and you'd like to say hello at the beginning of your puppet show, you might want to be able to say a different word like hola or bonjour. So you can start your puppet show with a different language to say hello and welcome. For some people, their ears don't work quite correctly, and that means that they've found a different language. It's called sign language, and it means that they use their hands not just to show us pictures, but they use it to communicate, to talk. This lovely sign means love you. It's a love sign. And the little boy can make that sign and everybody can understand what he's saying. Here are some other signs. So we can learn to use our hands to make signs that help us communicate. Things like eat or drink or more, please and thank you and sorry. So we've got lots of people in our little community who are exploring using their hands in sign language on something called Makaton, which helps them to use those words. So they might use those in their puppet show. You might decide that you want music, in which case you could maybe play an instrument, whether it's a piano or it might be a ukulele, it might be a drum, anything like that could be part of your puppet show. If you haven't got a drum, you can always find some pots and pans. If you've got 2 sticks, you can hit those together and make a banging sound. Going outside and listening to sounds can be really good fun. What sound do you think this would make? Well, it's a door knocker, and so it might make a sound like this, which would be somebody knocking on a door. All these sounds can be put into your puppet play. If you're doing a puppet play that's about being at sea, I wonder how we can get the sound of the waves. If you don't live near to the sea, we're going to have to be creative and explore and experiment with different sounds. If you're doing a woodland scene or your puppet show is going to be based outside, you might want to record some bird song. So you're going to have to be outside and be very, very quiet when you do your recording. And that way, when you record it on a phone or an audio recorder, you'll be able to play it back during your beautiful performance. We're in the final stages now, getting ready with our sound effects. We're going to be thinking about the name of our theatre or our puppet show. I look forward to hearing about your ideas in the virtual classroom.
So sound, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because for us, we're working through the virtual nature school. I don't know if you can hear the sounds that are around me right now, but I have heavy rain falling on the roof above me in our shelter. I have bird song out in the forest. I can hear splashy footprints in the puddles that are right outside our nest where I'm broadcasting from. So these soundscapes that we find ourselves in the natural world are really complicated. They're called stochastic, and that means that they are actually unpredictable in what they do. So when we start to really understand that we can use recording systems to capture soundtracks for our puppet show, we can begin to really go into depth. Now, you might decide that for you, it's not going to be natural sounds. Maybe it's going to be you singing. Maybe it's going to be that you're going to be the orchestra behind the scenes in terms of creating a piece of music. However you decide to move forward today's inquiry, I look forward to hearing about your ideas.